the Jordy Culotta Show.
Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up.
The line's wrapped around the stadium.
Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's gonna be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to.
He look crazy, Bill.
Good feet on the old man.
Let's go!
Boot up!
Go! We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. Welcome back. Welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live here on this Tuesday edition. As always, Go Chevrolet, G-E-A-U-X, Chevrolet.com, online, used car lot over at in Baton Rouge at Go Express Auto Sales on Sherwood Forest and Florida Boulevard, and then brand new cars out in LaPlace, Louisiana. Stop in and check them out. Nick Richard, Lee Carney, the entire crew over at Go Chevrolet and Metropolitan Health Group, bringing you our phone lines. Speaking of the phone lines, at 8 o'clock this morning, we'll talk to Josh Pate. Pate, of course, was in Knoxville over the weekend. We'll ask him about the scene in Tennessee. We'll ask him how for real the Volunteers are, as they are number 3 in the country now. How legitimate could 3 SEC teams be in the college football playoff? And what's he think about LSU? What about this point spread? LSU Ole Miss. This is one of these point spreads that we talked a little bit about over the last couple of weeks. What was it, the Auburn game? Auburn LSU that started Auburn favored by 2 points, and then by the time it kicked off, LSU was favored by 9. This one, not as drastic, but a similar story. Ole Miss favored in a lot of the lead up to this game. And then yesterday, about 11 a.m., this thing started to sway towards LSU, and now it's sitting with LSU as a 1.5 favorite going into the game on Saturday.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I kind of liked being on the other side of it, to tell you the truth.
So they're 7-0 for the first time since '62.
First time.
Yeah, I put it in here. And the last time they were
The
last time they were
second
7-0. Yeah, for the second time. The last time they were was in 2014, and the 8th game was at LSU and was a loss.
Hugh Freeze.
Is my microphone not working?
I think mine's not working.
Lloyd's mic is not working.
Probably a good thing. That's going to be people's favorite show today.
Hugh Freeze.
So do that again. Let's do that again.
No.
This will be their loss. 8th game, their loss. LSU.
No doubt. This is going to be and look, we talked a lot about this yesterday. Brian Kelly spoke to the media, and we'll hear from him. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, comment button. As we said, we appreciate you always being here with us on the Jordy Culotta Show. But Brian Kelly was speaking yesterday to the media, and we've got some of the sound that we can cut up, that we have cut up, and we'll let you listen to. But if LSU is as potent as they looked on Saturday offensively, all bets are really off for LSU moving forward. I think that LSU was gaining a reputation of, being very conservative, not threatening on offense, and then they went and put the film down in Gainesville, and it's got people around the country paying attention and recognizing that LSU's got game breakers. Some people, that was the first time they've seen Brian Thomas. For a lot of us, that was the first time we've seen Josh Williams play like that. That was the first time he had played like that. But he's capable of it, right? Kayshawn is going to start to wake up, and that was good to see him with his first 100-yard game of the season. And, more importantly, I think Jaden Daniels and the relationship between Mike Denbrock, the play caller, seems to be evolving. And it seems to be finding an identity and what's comfortable for the quarterback to run. Last week, I thought that Daniels looked as comfortable as we've seen him since he's been calling the shots at LSU. And I think a lot of that goes into how he played, obviously. First things first, all credit goes to him. But, Denbrock, I thought, really helped him out. I thought the play calling, going back and watching it again, they committed to the RPO. They committed to the run-pass option. And I thought Daniels did a fantastic job of, at the mesh point, really kind of reading that thing, keeping it when he was needing and supposed to, and giving it when it was time to keep it in the running back's gut. But, you see how that can go wrong instantly. Just look in Knoxville, to Tennessee. Hendon Hooker and, his running back. That was, the first time that Alabama had really taken the lead in that game when Dallas Turner scooped that ball up off the RPO that, there was a little bit of confusion. I thought Jaden Daniels handled that really, really well on Saturday, and he looked comfortable doing that. Leading up into the Florida game, that was my biggest concern. I know that was a lot of your concern out there, and just listening to the feedback and reading some of the comments of people, just talking about LSU's offense, was that everything looked difficult. Everything looked very clunky. Everything felt like it was hard to do. And on Saturday, I thought LSU really found a rhythm for Daniels, and a lot like the point spread says by what's happening with this game here with Ole Miss, and kind of what the wise guys are saying in Vegas, is that maybe LSU is for real. If they can score and they're going to take shots, well, they've got as many playmakers as anybody in the country. And, like we've forecasted and kind of looked down the line. And look, first things first, man, you got to show up on Saturday, and you got a hell of an opponent coming in with a top 10 group in Ole Miss, and Lane Kiffin coming in undefeated. Nobody's overlooking anyone within the football program, but in our business, we can look down the line and say, Alabama is beatable, and they're beatable by a team that is constructed like LSU. When you look at the way that Tennessee beat Alabama, they took shots. They put pressure on the defensive backfield. One thing LSU can do, no matter who the DBs are, and Alabama's DBs aren't Alabama's real DB. They don't feel like they have that cachet of being the Tide's defensive backfield. Their LSU's wide receivers are going to put pressure on them if they're going to play like they did last Saturday, right? And look, that was one of 6. We've seen a lot of work. We've got an extended body of work to look at of LSU, and Saturday is the outlier versus Florida. That's the one that kind of, stands out from the others. But if they can begin to play that way, to take shots down the field and put the ball in the wide receiver's hands, they can beat anybody left on their roster. And they really can. They can play with anyone on the schedule that remains. Texas A&M can't score. Alabama is beatable in the sense that if they can play, LSU, can play like they did last Saturday, where they can, score, they can keep up if you want to get into a shootout. And the same goes for Ole Miss. I'm expecting Ole Miss to put up points on Saturday, but if LSU found something last weekend versus the Gators, it doesn't scare me in the sense of, you might have to play keep up. Okay. This offense is made to do that. This offense is made to score points. It's the first time last week we saw Daniels getting the ball out of his hand quick into the hands of playmakers in space, playing one-on-one. That's what you want. That's how you win. That's how Tennessee's winning. That's how Tennessee's got the most explosive offense in the country. is they're just taking their athletes, putting them in space, and they're playing one-on-one, and they're beating the other guy. I'd love to see Brian Thomas go one-on-one the rest of the way out. Love to see Kayshawn in one-on-one opportunities. Love to see Malik Neighbors, John Emery, one-on-one chances. Would love to see Jaden Daniels run the ball when the time is right. LSU's got an offense that if you're a defensive coordinator, you're looking at and saying, hey, we better be ready for a lot of stuff this week because there's a lot of things they can do if they get it moving. Again, 1 out of, 6 of these things. Hunter Howell, beware of Jordy's Kool-Aid, you guys. I feel you. I feel you. I'm sipping on it.
Don't drink Kool-Aid.
I'm sipping on it. But, I'm looking at Saturday, and I'm seeing the offense that we all kind of expected going into the season of what it to be, right? I know that's what I kind of left spring thinking, wow, this team's going to be heavy RPO. This team is going to be heavy and kind of spread you out, get the ball out of your hand quick, not put the pressure on the offensive line that's, very unstable up to this point, and spread the ball out to the strength of your team. The strength of LSU's team is on the outside on offense. And last week was the first time we saw those guys with the ball in their hand. I don't understand why you wouldn't try to make that happen every week. That's advantage you. That's point spread swinging from +3 to -1.5, in my opinion. I think that the Sharks are looking at it saying, they could go score for score with them. It's not as if LSU's offense is dead like we thought it was 2 weeks ago.
Is that more of an indictment on Florida's defense, or do you think that LSU has actually found something here?
I think Florida's defense is bad.
Yeah.
I don't think that they were doing that against, Georgia by any means. But I think that LSU definitely found something in the sense of whether it was Tennessee, whether it was Florida, whether it's going to be Alabama down the line, if Brian Thomas is in one-on-one, throw it up, right? That's ideally what's going to happen. You gave him 2 50-50 balls on Saturday. He came down with both of them. He got jobbed on the second when he should have gotten credit for it, but, he's going to make the play. The more opportunities you can get Kayshawn early on to start to catch a rhythm, the more you'll probably see, 3 numbers by his name when you see yardage after the game. He'll probably be a 100-yard guy a week if you can get him going early like they did on Saturday. That's the strength of the offense. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel to get them the ball. I thought that the way that the game was called on Saturday, John Emery, whether it was on his third down pickup or whether it was on the play he nearly scored on or the play that he did score on, was just a little straight out of the backfield, get into the flat, turn around, balls on you.
Nobody's guarding him.
Turn around, he's got a cornerback coming off of a stalk block on a wide receiver on the outside, make him miss and get down the field. You'll take your chances on that with Emery playing one-on-one with a guy like that.
Absolutely.
That to me is who LSU was. That's why getting back in here on Tuesday morning after the Florida State game when they're taking 3-5, play action drop backs and trying to wait on these routes down the field to develop and asking Daniels to go 1, 2, 3, 4 behind an offensive line that's featuring transfers and true freshmen. You're like, what the hell is going on? Why would you? That's not who you are, and it looked like through all the open practices in the lead up that you didn't think that's who you were. There was a lot of RPO. There was a lot of quick spread, tempo, attack type stuff that LSU looked very comfortable in doing, or it definitely looked like they were trying to install to master.
What were we saying even before the Florida game? We were saying, what is LSU's identity offensively? And I feel like you take from it from what you will from the Florida game, but it feels like they found at least something that they can, hang their hat on, whether it be the run game or the quick game, but just something that finally feels like they're comfortable doing. It looks like, it was the polar opposite of what you saw against Tennessee, where it was so fractured, and this looks so much more. It looks so much smoother. It was so like, okay, LSU feels like they can win this way. That's
caught
what it
a
looked
rhythm.
like. Yeah, it looks like they finally caught a rhythm a little
They
bit.
look like a completely different team.
Yeah,
coming
it's two
from
different
Florida
teams.
State. Like from
Oh,
thinking back
yeah.
on
Oh,
that
my God.
game and now.
It feels like a decade ago.
It does.
It feels like 10 years ago.
It really does. I know.
They don't suck now. They suck
They
then.
were
Yeah, they
bad then.
always
Man,
suck.
LSU was bad
They're
then. You
still
know what I
sucking.
mean?
But UCLA is good now. So
Yeah.
Coach Harris might maybe get another
Coach Joe's
year.
somewhere out there. Just look at that.
Draw.
Trying to tell you.
Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by City Cafe. Welcome back, City Cafe. Good to have the crew back here with Cody, Squeaky, and the crew. Stop in and see them today over there on George O'Neill. They've been there, been in business for 100 years, over 100 years. Where good friends meet over at City Cafe. They're the best, man. Stop in and see them. They got daily lunch specials. They got brunch on Sundays. Great brunch. 4710 O'Neill Lane. You can also check them out online at citycafebr.net. Citycafebr.net. They got great opportunities if you're looking to host a business luncheon for private rooms that are available over there. Get in touch with Cody, Squeaky, Miranda, and everybody over at City Cafe, Dirk and the crew. Citycafebr.net, citycafebr.net over there on O'Neill and George
And
O'Neill.
if you want a tailgate platter, they can do that.
Yeah,
for
that
you,
looks
too.
fantastic.
They hooked us up for the watch room. We were
What did y'all have?
seafood
Man,
platter,
everything.
Really?
Yeah, just a big
Oh.
pile of fried food. It was
Yeah.
excellent. I mean, you can't go wrong doing
Yeah.
that. Still here.
Everything. Yep.
It is.
Yeah.
Ate some
God.
yesterday.
Yeah, it's still good. I mean, shit, Saturday to Tuesday, we're good,
Yeah,
Coach.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we got the little thing on the fridge that tells you how long your food can stay.
KB Tiger says this team has been entirely too inconsistent to assume that they will suddenly be consistent going forward. Jordy, good. I mean, look, I understand that and I hear that, but I think the way that you can mask the inconsistencies that seem to fuel LSU in that category, which to me is the offensive line, and it's not any fault of Brad Davis. It's not any fault of anybody on that line of scrimmage. I just think that it's been, bad luck. I mean, Will Campbell going down Friday night before Tennessee, losing some guys to injury, not having guys available every week, and having to play 6 combinations of offensive lines through the first 7 weeks of the season. That's very, not ideal. And to me, that can really plague an offense in the sense of if there's not cohesiveness, if there's not trust, if there's not, experience of playing next to one another in that group, then it's going to cause for a lot of confusion in the game. And that's what we've seen. And the way to hide that, is to get a quarterback like Daniels, somebody who's mobile, who can keep plays alive because the thing's going to break down, which he's proven he can do, or just get the ball out of his hand quick where these guys don't have to hold their blocks for, 3 clicks, where it's just stand the guy up, ball's out of the hand. I understand that you have to establish some type of run, rush offense, which, is challenging in its own right in the SEC and is going to get more difficult as the weeks go by here in October and move into November. But the threat of Daniels and the playmakers on the outside being the focal point of this offense totally changes the dynamic of who LSU is. Think about it. 2 weeks ago, the storyline about LSU was not, they're not really a threat as long as you can, hold up on and keep them off the field on offense. Just get them off the field. You should be able to control the game, right? But if they come out and they look like they did against Florida, where they're putting pressure on you now, they're taking shots down the field. The ball's going to playmakers where if you don't tackle these guys in space, they'll change the scoreboard. You know what I mean? Like Jeray Jenkins will just run past you. It's a totally different feel. And it's not us who's preaching that. Vegas thinks so. That's who I trust more than anybody, more than any talking head, more than anybody out there is Vegas. What do they say? They have LSU as favorite now. Oh, really? Interesting. Wonder why. Because they're looking at the film saying, you ever seen Major League? These guys aren't as bad as we thought they were. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they're not that shitty. You know what I mean? It's like, it's people are like, whoa, it's a different group. You know what I mean? If Kayshawn's going for 100 and Jaden Daniels is accounting for 6 touchdowns, 3 in the air, 3 on the ground, maybe they can win it. Maybe they can win the game.
Get Armani Goodwin back, you can start convincing yourself. But that's the story on LSU, right? It's this offense is going to go how Jaden Daniels goes. If he plays well, the team's going to move down the field. I know that's contingent of your quarterback a lot, but because of his play style, that's what I think separates him from other quarterbacks. Because if you get him going on the ground, where he's very comfortable, then you make easy throws for him. Like, that's how the LSU offense gets rolling. He just has so much on his plate, and for the way that Denbrock and apparently Kelly, who has like a play sheet on the sidelines now, but the way that they scheme that up to make it easy for Jaden Daniels is like what seems to be the recipe for LSU. And if you can continue to do that, I can see why Vegas would be like, well, that's a totally different team than I saw play against Tennessee. But even if you watch the Tennessee game, like, the score's not indicative of how that game went. Like, LSU isn't 30 points worse than Tennessee. Like, they made some decisions in coaching and were, situations and things where they kind of coached themselves out that game to where it made the score look as bad as it was. But flip the script to Florida, it's like they're the same team. They just didn't outcoach themselves. That's what it looks like whenever their game planned well.
No, absolutely. I think that the Tennessee game is
throw it out.
That thing, it was
So
from the Will Campbell story on Friday night to the opening kickoff to the play before half to still it being a game with 1.5 minutes left in the first half. If anything, I'm watching that Tennessee game thinking, like, a week before this, you really caught Tennessee in a good spot. I'm not going back to say, LSU should have won the game. By no means do I believe that. But that game could have been a lot closer than it was. And it was, 2 plays away from being there, really. When you kind of step back and look at it. So when LSU goes and performs like they do against Florida, if you've been watching them very intently all season, you've seen that it feels like you're kind of right there. Okay, this is what it looks like. Maybe that is the game where you can get over the hump, because for as good as Jaden Daniels did look, and I'm with you, the offense, the team, is going to go as far as 5 is going to take them. The staff has to look at Saturday and say, okay, this is going to allow him to take us to a lot more different spots than we thought was even out there the first couple of weeks of the season. If you can support him like this, call plays where it looks like this, even to what we talked a little bit about yesterday, go back and watch the film, man. What the guy in the flat, what the check down does for Jaden Daniels, what it does for his game. It's a simple little tweak to the offense. Ultimately, they were keeping that guy in and protecting the first couple of weeks. Now, with quicker routes, that guy, the running back, is coming out of the backfield and being, a check down in the sense of everybody's covered down the field, just dump it right here. Well, now, if that guy's a threat, well, now you don't have to focus so much energy on and attention on Daniels being a threat to run the ball, right? So now it takes more pressure off of him to think, I got to run it every time the stuff breaks down. Well, people are so intent on stopping him and focusing on taking the run away from him that people are just crashing down on him, and he's just checking the ball down, which is going 8, 10, 12 yards down. Now it's a totally different wrinkle that you have to, conceptually be prepared for now when you play LSU. 2 weeks ago, LSU was very simple defensively to game plan for, it felt like. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like it was kind of like, hey, man, put pressure on 5. He'll panic. He'll run. Well, as long as you can keep him in the middle of the field, you got a potential to hurt him. Because once he tucks it, he turns into a running back. You're teaching your linebackers and your defensive tackles, like,
go get it.
Crack this kid.
Right.
You know what I mean?
This your shot.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of what made LSU fans nervous, and even this room in general nervous, is it started to look like the elephant in the room. It started to look like a Les Miles-based passing attack where it was so rudimentary, and it's like they're bringing in extra tight ends because they can't block it up front. So now you have, Max protect nearly every play doing two-man routes. You're like, this is not it. Like, this isn't the way to scheme up what LSU does well. Like, you're taking your best players off the field and put more protection on, and it's just became very obvious what they were trying to do. When there's two ways to attack it, if you don't trust your offensive line, that doesn't mean that you have to bring more people into block necessarily. You can put
five
get it
wide.
out. Yeah,
Boom,
go
man.
out. That's Joe Burrow proved that. That's what that offensive line wasn't good in 2019. Like, he covered up a lot of what they did, and that was because of how they schemed it up around it. Like this game plan is something that LSU can win with. Like, it's very promising if you're an LSU fan.
The biggest smoke and mirrors college football award of all time is the Joe Moore Award.
You think he still has that thing with
the
him?
LSU offensive line being recognized as the best group in the sport because
there's the reason they put Joe Burrow in the picture.
I mean, Burrow is back there like protecting them more than he's protecting, they're protecting him. I mean, it was more of the play calling. And the thing that's, was frustrating about LSU and now is, kind of refreshing to see since Saturday night is that LSU has those guys that can create total mismatches if you spread them out. Like if LSU truly went 5 wide, and I've got if you're LSU, you've got your top 5 pass catchers out on the field. So you've got Kayshawn, Malik, Brian Thomas, Mason Taylor, and John Emery that are standing there. Jeray Jenkins is out there for someone. Now I'm asking you to put forth your 5 best cover guys and stop me when I'm not on a first rounder of LSU's. Kayshawn, first rounder. Malik, I can't wait to see test. Jeray Jenkins, potentially a high round draft pick, second, third
NFL
round
guy.
draft.
You're all
Absolutely.
NFL guys.
NFL wide receiver. Where did
Mason
Brian
Taylor.
Thomas, first round pick. Mason Taylor could play himself into a first-round pick. John Emery, high-talent guy. You've got 5 guys that can cover them. I don't believe you. I don't believe Alabama doesn't. I saw Alabama's top 3 cover guys get smoked by Tennessee's wideouts on Saturday.
Eli Ricks, you think he could play?
Does he?
He doesn't play?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't log snaps
At all.
Right.
Like, not even special team.
He's taking a gap year, guys. He's trying to get it figured out. A lot of people do
Something
it.
like the LSU.
So, Jordan Brisker, this show is good and entertaining, but Jordy is wrong a lot.
Okay.
Thank you for being here, Jordan.
Yeah, we appreciate your support.
Stephen Miller says a lot of talk about offense, but Jordy, they cannot underestimate that it's imperative how tackling must improve 100%. I thought the tackling was really good through the first 3 quarters.
It was just it gets
one
blown
play.
up
Yeah,
because
it does
Anthony
need to
Richardson.
improve.
But there was other plays in the fourth, but they got a little lazy.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I thought they tackled.
Well, it's the first time the defense could actually take a series off. Like, they've had their backs against the wall every game trying to keep you in it because we're down
Yeah.
17-0. It's like, all right, we gotta
get a
hold.
stop.
We gotta hold the line here. And now they finally were able to play a little bit freer, which is gonna happen. You're gonna miss some tackles, but you can't really. I don't want to knock on the LSU defense too much.
At
I
all,
feel
man.
Like they've
And for
kept
look,
you in the
as
season.
critical as we've been about just Harold Perkins' situation, one thing in general that you cannot be critical of, in my opinion, is Matt House. I think that he is always
He's dialed it
prepared.
up.
You know what I mean? Like even like some of the adjustments, I thought that the TV copy pointed out, McElroy pointed out how they got burned early on in that game, where on the
the
first
second play of the
drive,
game,
on
yeah.
the second play of the game, and Florida came back to it late in the game. LSU was, I mean, they had it smothered. You know what I mean? In-game adjustments, the way that they were able to, see things on the fly and adjust to it. The way that they're able to scheme week in, week out, I think is, it's the sign of really good coaching. When you're able to adapt the players adapt the scheme to the players, to me, is the definition of a good coach. I mean, that's, to me, I think there's no better compliment that you can pay a coach of any talent you give him. He's going to thrive because he's got a scheme for all types of players. He doesn't have a scheme that says you have to fit this. And if you don't fit this, you can't play. Well, I mean, how are you going to leave these guys on the sidelines that can play. Why don't you play to the strength of your team? And the thing that was refreshing about LSU on Saturday was that, look, the wide receivers are the best players on the team.
Finally figured out a way to
I
get
mean,
them
like,
the ball.
put the ball in
Doesn't
their
have to be
hands.
as hard as y'all were making it.
50
But-
points later.
Yeah, look at how you like my new offense. But you talk about paying compliments like that. That's exactly what Brian Kelly told. That's what he said about Lane Kiffin at the presser yesterday. He was like, look, he's been able to do it with whether you give him Matt Corral or Jackson Dart. Like, he adapts to what his players do well, and he thinks Jackson Dart's more of a more mobile quarterback, at least in Brian Kelly's mind. I thought Matt Corral could kind of run it a little bit, but he's saying he's changed the offense. You can see it in Ole Miss's rushing yards. Like, they're not the throw. They can be, but it's not like the throw it 55 times with Lane Kiffin or Mississippi State. It's whatever we can attack you both ways because he's amenable to the game plan and he's a great in-game adjuster of what he thinks he can find that works.
They ran some plays against Auburn.
I mean, when Lane gets in the zone, but he gets in the play calling zone.
He's so creative.
He gets
and
hot.
I mean, the young Charlie Weiss Jr., the 29-year-old offensive coordinator, is a whiz.
Is he at Ole Miss?
Yes.
That's the offensive coordinator.
He replaced who was there last year that somebody took his offensive coordinator and he just elevated him. I know that the defensive coordinator is now at Texas A&M. Maryland's old coach that killed the kid in the summer program.
Oh, God. Jimbo Wood.
I'm surprised he's not on Urban Meyer's staff, wherever he is.
Just give him time. He'll be back.
Knuckles deep.
Guy will be at Nebraska next year.
Nebraska, no doubt. And Mickey Joseph is just like, hell, I'm going to leave. I'm not coaching for this man.
Got Orgeron again.
But Charlie Weiss Jr. is impressive, man. I mean, if you look at his come up, I mean, he is 29 years old. And he was with Lane at Florida Atlantic.
What a fun coaching room.
Absolutely.
Wait,
Yeah,
he's
you
at
got
Ole
some
Miss
stories.
now?
And now he's the Ole Miss offensive coordinator. He didn't have Bryles with him. Bryles has been at Arkansas.
Yeah.
Right.
He had Bryles with him one place. Maybe
Maybe
Florida
at
Atlantic.
No, he had it.
He had
In
him at
Boca.
FIU.
Yeah, at Florida Atlantic.
Yeah,
FAU.
we're just down in Boca.
Jeff Levy. Levy
Yes,
went to
yes.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He had Jeff Levy who went to Oklahoma. And he elevated
Weiss Jr., dude.
Charlie Weiss Jr., who's only like
God, that's young.
29 years old
So
and like
young.
been in the game
Forever.
for a long
Since he was
time.
18.
Like he was like some of the Notre Dame guys like tell stories about Weiss's kid being in the meetings, like watching film and like charting plays and being like, this little whiz in the back of the room. And now, I mean, he's calling plays for Ole Miss. I mean, on Lane Kiffin's staff at 29, if you're the play caller,
That's impressive.
your future's bright.
And they dial it up.
Yeah, they do. They're so creative.
He's been working in football his whole life.
His whole life.
In 2014, how old would he have been if he's born in '93? In 2014, he's like 15 years old.
Where was he before?
2014,
Ole
nah,
Miss?
he wasn't 14. He was like,
No, I'm just saying he gained extra experience as doing the Patriots volunteer training camp intern. So, like, he was always going to be a coach. He never even had a choice. But his dad's a big parrot guy. I don't know if you know that. He has a pet parrot that flies around. Like, he lets it fly around the
that's
house,
weird.
and he, like, dive bombs people. Charlie White's a weird dude, but
Big Charlie?
Big Charlie.
Where's Big Charlie?
Chillin'.
Rich.
Yes.
yes, I'm
Rich.
He got that
Is
Notre
he
Dame
still-
money.
Is he still coaching?
No.
No.
Okay. He's
He
old.
got exposed.
I'm sure he's at Ole Miss games.
So
Oh,
where
yeah.
was Charlie before Ole Miss?
He was at FAU.
He was with Lane. He's been with Lane for
He's
a
been
while.
with Lane the whole
He's
time.
been grooming him.
He's been Lane for a
Oh,
while.
no.
I mean, Lane recognized.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then
Who's me?
right. Who's fun here?
Have you met Weiss Jr.?
Oh, there's another one? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big Charlie, huh? Well, see you later.
But
Yeah,
I
what a
mean,
find.
he should be a head coach by the time he's 33.
Yeah, he's on the lane track. Like, he's on the lane path of, I'm probably going to get a job that's too big for me because of my name and who my dad was. And that's what happened to Lane with Monty. He's like, give this kid a shot. He's been around it his whole life. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on Charlie Weiss. Jr.
Junior.
See him, because he's going to pop around the league. He's going to go somewhere and be like, oh, I thought he'd be better. Then he'll slide right back down and join Lane again. And that's just how these tracks go. And then he'll figure it out when he's 40. Twice divorced.
God. You
With
got
the
it all
dog.
figured
With a
out
parrot.
for him. With a parrot. That's weird.
Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by RMB Builders. Rhett Bourgeois and our crew, rmb-builders.com. Great Instagram right now. Their social media is on fire. Make sure and give them a follow on Instagram. Tell them you heard it here on the Jordy Culotta Show. But Rhett can help you out with anything, man. If you're looking to custom design a home, if you want to build your dream home, if you just need some repairs done around the house, get in touch with RMB Builders. RMB-Builders.com. RMB-Builders.com is how you can do it on the internet. But stop and see them on Instagram. And just search RMB-Builders, RMB Builders on Instagram to keep up with Rhett Bourgeois and the crew over there. You can see all the neighborhoods they're working in and out of. They got a huge project going on over at Katie's house right now. They got a lot of work going on that they're documenting on social media. So you can find out for yourself, but the quality speaks for it over at RMB Builders, RMB-Builders.com, RMB-Builders.com. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. We're going to talk to Josh Pate coming up here at 8 a.m. this morning. Pate will be here talking the college football weekend. We'll get his thoughts on LSU, Ole Miss. Also more about the SEC weekend. Sneaky good game, South Carolina and Texas A&M here.
You're on the South Carolina train.
I am going.
Ball.
I think I'm going South Carolina money line here. I kind of feel like they're going to win it.
They might.
I mean,
And
Texas A&M
they
can't
I
score.
was gonna say they can't
Why
score.
wouldn't they? They'll
But
win.
they got a really good defense. It feels like A&M is like welcome to LSU 2008.
Don't take me back there.
A&M
I don't want to ride that
A&M
ride.
rotates 15 defensive linemen.
Oof,
And
I
out
love
of,
that
Out of
coach.
15, I think 14 are freshmen.
I love it.
That's
Walter
crazy.
Nolan.
No, Walter Nolan
Walt.
making plays last week.
Wait,
Big Walt.
they had a weather delay one week, and Walter Nolan got caught in the stands, like taking pictures with fans. Yes.
I told you he had a personality.
Like they're like calling him off the field. He's like, huh?
How
Like no
funny.
helmet on,
Walter.
just his pads. Like,
back.
Walt,
That
you
guy.
gotta be on the field.
Hey, bro, he made a play last week against
He's,
Bama.
he's a player.
Did you see him when he punched that ball out,
He's
recovered
a-
the fumble?
He's a player.
Just a man of few words.
And then who's the one from Miami?
Shamar Stewart.
Whew.
Oh, yeah.
Stewart boys.
Stewart.
You know? It's not
I
blood.
mean,
Just not blood.
Miami's not back until you're getting kids like that
Yeah.
out of South Beach.
Wearing the golds.
I mean, if that kid leaves South Beach, Miami's not back. He might be the first pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
He's a freak.
he is a game wrecker.
That's the one that you want if you're circling somebody. Like, oh yeah, give me the guy with the.
How fun
when
was-
he puts the cowboy hat on with the grill? You're just like, this
And
is perfect.
He's wearing a single digit.
yeah,
get him.
Get 5-star.
I want him.
Yes.
How fun was that NIL meeting
Oh
with
yeah.
Jimbo, with the boosters, when you're like, all right, who you want? Be like, got to get Shamar Stewart out of
Yeah,
Miami.
Gotta get him.
Got to get him.
I mean,
I want Walter Nolan out of Tennessee. Give me that Jacoby Matthews kid down in Ponchatoula.
What they doing over in Louisiana?
Yeah.
I think she got some players. I think the dopest man alive.
I mean, all right, how much they gonna cost? $30 million. Perfect.
We'll take it.
Get them all.
forgot to get a quarterback.
Denver Harris.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Like, tactical. What you want? My hands are tied.
We'll be back. More of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Go take their quarterback. Hell, get him in the portal.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college, for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression and anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. I was embarrassed about my smile. Are you unhappy at yours? Do you not smile back at yourself? I called my friend, Dr. Spillers, over at Johnson Spillers. He fixed my smile, and now everywhere I go, people are complimenting it after the work that Dr. Spillers and the staff did to my mouth. They can do it to yours. Get in touch with them. JohnsonSpillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easy to find them, JohnsonSpillers.com. We love the crew over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Chef Shane and his crew dropping off the meals every Monday here to FM Digital Media, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. Me or the crew's going through our meals over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Their weekly pre-order, freshly made meals, or you can walk into the cooler over there on Airline Highway. They have that fresh, same service over there at Fresh Chef Eats. FreshChefEats.com is where you can find them online. Fresh Chef Kitchen. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Damn. Is he? I can't believe. Welcome back. Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, right here live on this Tuesday. Remember, we'll be taking your calls tomorrow. So if you have a take, don't suck. Call 225-229-7741. 225-229-7741.
This is the opinion show.
All love from here too, Jordan. But we'd love to hear from you, bro.
That was
especially
a good comment. It made me have a Sunday throat when you wrote it.
Yeah, Sunday throat.
Does anyone know what a Sunday throat is out here?
I do now.
Please,
I do.
need to
I
know.
do too.
Anyone else has ever heard of
I've never personally
Yeah,
had
I've
it.
never had it.
Sunday throat?
But I've seen it happen.
Have I given one? Me.
May have caused a couple
After a
Sunday
weekend
throats.
full of tricking.
Yeah. God bless you.
Got a little Sunday throw right there. Sorry.
I've never heard that. I need to know if other people know about a Sunday
It's
throat.
slut Catholics that came up with it. That's where I learned it from my mother and her mother. He's like, what are y'all
The
talking
nuns
about?
used to call themselves sister.
Sister.
You got a Sunday throat?
All right, so
It makes
Brian
him
Kelly was
happy.
speaking with the media yesterday. Katie and I were in the room. It was good to hear Coach Kelly.
Yes, he
Sharp
was
dressed
good.
yesterday.
He was. He looked great yesterday.
Whew.
In his
He
suit.
looked like he felt better.
He
Like he finally
sure.
had it,
Every
you know?
week he's looked better.
Got that
and better
winning
to me.
strut.
Exactly.
Mom and Dad on the front row as usual. As Coach Kelly greets them on the way in and out. I know my mom would make every press conference if I was Division I head
Yeah.
coach.
Saying. Or maybe not.
Wait, I've never even thought about that.
I think you would have to wait to get to Brian Kelly's status, right? Like I would have to be like one of the winningest all-time coaches at some big-time school before like mom showed up at the presser.
Yeah, it'd
That's
be
what I'm
You know what I
saying.
mean?
I don't
Like-
want. Yeah, that's embarrassing still, right? If you're a Brian Kelly,
If you're a
Not if you're
loser.
Kelly. At this point, you know what I mean? Like I'm established now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
My
it's
mom
great to see you,
doesn't
Mom.
even know
They're
about
so
football.
cute. It
so.
takes them
And
so
last
long
week
to
after the
leave
loss,
room.
like he gave him the good to see you guys on the way like down the steps. Like don't try to approach me and talk to me this week.
right?
Like I felt his vibe. Like
I'm
after the
locked in.
loss.
Yeah,
You know,
I got
like-
work to do.
Yeah, right.
Love you. Thank
Mom,
you
we
for
aren't
lunch.
winning
After
right
the
now.
first win, after the first SEC win at Mississippi State, he came in. He was hugging.
Hugging,
Good to
yeah.
see you. How was the weekend? You know, great to see
Kids are
everybody
good.
on the way out.
How the kids?
That's your sister.
They're sweet. It takes them
That's
a while
fun.
to
That's
get
weird,
out.
but I like it. I guess.
It takes them a while to get out of there.
I mean, I'm sure it takes them a while to do everything.
Yeah, it does. They're very
You know what I
slow
mean? But they're in the
moving.
good part of life where everything's slow.
They are.
You, know?
Yeah.
You want to go to Brian's presser today? What else do we have to
I
do?
know.
Call
Son
the
has
car.
I
money.
mean, what else
Yeah.
do we have to
Tell
do?
Brian to send
I
us a
mean,
car.
that sounded like it was like a, do you want to move to Baton Rouge?
I know.
You know, like, hell,
Exactly.
screw this South Bend place.
Yeah.
It's already snowing up there.
I know. They're in like
Cold
shorts
right
at
now.
every
Ugh,
press conference.
disgusting. And their team sucks. Ugh.
Yeah, it is awful up there. Bad
mean,
days
like-
for the
Jade, you
The
still have
fighting
time.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to do it to yourself.
yeah,
Marcus.
Ugh.
All right, so Brian Kelly yesterday. Where am I looking for the titles of these?
And
top
so we do a
of the
document every night.
No, I'm here. I'm looking at it.
And
There
it's
it is.
segments.
There it is.
It's the first
I'm
one.
at the
DK
bottom.
Presser.
I'm at the bottom.
Okay.
All right, Brian
my
Kelly
Sunday parade.
yesterday talking about the Ole Miss offense. This is 2 here, Stewie.
There we go. Look at him.
Gotcha.
It's an offense that is, systematic in its play calling, what they're trying to do. The pieces fall together quite nicely, and very talented. You know, the quarterback, is a true double threat quarterback. Dart can throw it. He can run. He's complemented with 2 outstanding backs, big receivers. And a very, very balanced attack. They can run it equally as well as they throw it, and so I have a lot of respect for what they do.
Stephen Miller with a little background information. Thank you, Stevie. Jordy, they're only staying here through football season, and when they're moving back to, then they'll be moving back to Massachusetts.
You never know, though. Maybe they'll stay.
Oh,
They
once
might fall in
Louisiana
love
gets
with
a grip
Baton
on you,
Rouge.
absolutely.
I don't
Who
know,
wouldn't want to
man. I
stay
feel like
They
there?
love to see
Boston,
it.
Mass would probably be the same way.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like-
Once you're from there, yeah, it's exactly.
It's Boston, man.
Yeah.
It's too hot down here.
Yeah.
This is 10, Stewie. More of Kelly talking about Lane Kiffin and this offense.
It's perimeter based. The ball's trying to get out on the perimeter, but you now have a quarterback that if you're spreading yourself thin on the perimeter,
Can we move this?
Oh, you moved the wrong one.
and then they've got a great play action game, and Mingo's 6'3", 6'4", 225 pounds. He's a matchup nightmare. So, when your safeties are dropping down, you're trying to load the box, you're trying to defend the perimeter. Now they've got one-on-one matchups that they can throw the football. So, Auburn was trying to stop the passing game, and then they were a little soft to the run game. They run for 400 yards. You cannot win games giving up 400 yards rushing. So, well, you can, but you're playing the game, up and down the field. So it's just it's an offense that has been set up, obviously to, force the ball outside, but they have a quarterback now that can run it so effectively as well. They threw the ball last year because they had a great quarterback in Corral. This is a different quarterback, and so that's what Lane does well. He's going to set his offense based upon who the player is. It's not about plays, it's about players for him, and he changes based upon who he has, and he's got a quarterback that is a real dual threat.
Small experience for Kelly and Kiffin here when Kiffin was with USC. 3 bouts against one another where Kelly is 2-1, where he was leading the Notre Dame team versus USC that was led by Lane Kiffin. Moscona asked him an interesting question here, Stewie. This is 15. Yesterday about LSU and their play calling. And if you watch the television cameras, caught it a couple of times where Kelly had a play sheet in his hand, and it looked like he was involved in the play calling, maybe even at times taking the leadership role. Moscona asked about the dynamic of play calling and how it kind of works for LSU?
Mike calls all the good plays, and I call all the great plays. So it comes down from Mike and Cortez. Obviously, he's got him on the sideline, but they're going through our signalers. So I'm hearing them, and I'm just making look. There's a couple of voices. One, obviously is enough. You can't have 3 or 4 voices when you're getting the play and you're getting into a flow. The one thing, and I've been a play caller, you can't get a million suggestions going. You've got to let a play caller go. And for me, I'm reminding him on whether we're going for it on 4th down and what we need to go for it on 4th down, how many yards. Hey, we're going for it on 4th and 3 here, so you can run it twice. I'll give him suggestions like that during the series. And other than that, kind of allow him to keep in the flow of the game. I'm reminding him of time and timeouts and really time management issues more than anything else. Other than that, play calling it's an art and a science, but you can't get in the way of the art of it.
I thought it was a great description. I mean, I thought that was a excellent just explanation of his thoughts of being a play caller, giving his examples of when he was a play caller and what he learned there, and now overseeing the play calling, how he can step in and help at times or maybe offer words of advice. But ultimately, you can't get in the way of the artist, right? Like, I mean, if you want him to paint the picture, you got to allow him to paint. And that's kind of what he was saying there in the sense of, look, we're all artists here. We're all looking at the painting. Maybe I say, hey, you want to try this here? You want to try this there? But ultimately, Denbrock is the artist. So I thought that was a good explanation of just how the play calling it works at LSU with the process. Daniels. This was Kelly yesterday talking about Daniels and Kayshon Boutte finding a rhythm.
Yeah, look, we've been at this, this had been the 7th game, and we've been confronted with those situations and haven't made them. But I don't think that there was any hesitation that we wouldn't go back to it, because those two have been working hard in practice and trying to build that, that relationship where, we find you. And if you remember in that situation, he kind of found some green grass, and he was going to be the primary on that play, and Jaden got flushed out of the pocket. But he kept his eyes looking for him, and it was really the first time when those two found each other, if you will, in terms of, getting the ball. And then that drive, quite frankly, we had a lot of mistakes. We made a lot of mistakes. That drive ended up in the end zone because of those two guys. They made big plays, and that's what sometimes you need is your big-time players have to step up. And I think that was the first time this year that our best players stepped up to that level and made plays.
And, again, that is really good to hear, and I think that's what we're talking about, the confidence that this can move or build moving forward. This is the next one, Stewie. Directly after that one, Kelly going into his.
I think it's got to be part of what we continue to grow towards. There's going to be times where guys just got to step up and make plays, and we had been kind of grinding it out, like, every we were trying to fight for every blade of grass, and sometimes you just got to make some plays, and the big touchdown. Throw to Jure Jenkins. They jump offside. That's part of our offense. Take a shot down the field. Maybe early in the year we throw that out of bounds. So just staying at it and being consistent with coaching it, and then telling our guys that, look, sooner or later we got to step up and make these plays, and they did on Saturday. And now we've got to be consistent at it. You can't do it one week and then turn it off the next week and expect to win.
This is 11, an injury update here from Kelly talking about his running back, Armani Goodwin, and Jack Besh, his wide receiver.
Jack is he's day-to-day. He's got the same back situation, which is an L5. it's cranky. Hopefully we can get him up and going. He's a tough guy. Hopefully we can get him loose enough where he can play. And Armani, we're going to practice him on Tuesday and see what we can get. He wants to play, and our doctors have cleared him. We'll see what kind of volume we can get out of him. And
Doesn't sound good on Besh.
No, he kind of slid that in there. You just started naming vertebrae. You never really. That's not the arena you want to be operating in. It's like, oh, he broke his back. I mean,
Spinal.
It's cranky. Spinal. That's not good. I mean, you hope that Besh can go because, I mean, he is everything that he said he is. He's like, Besh will fight to get on the field, just like Will Campbell will fight to get on the field. Like, those are guys that come Saturday, you're like, oh, big fella. I don't know what you can't go.
You could see it Saturday.
Yeah.
Whenever he was out, it was just he was just.
They just snuck that in there too. It wasn't even like on the game call.
I know.
Like they never said, oh.
I mean, like the
Besh
sideline
street
reporter
clothes.
never made a move for
Yeah.
it. It was like, why? You would seem like that would be a big story on why 80's no longer out there. This is Kelly 14, Stewie, talking about what the message to the team's been.
Greg Clayton?
No, we won't talk about tying for the West. I think it's too early to talk in terms of that. I think there's just too much football left to be played. What we're going to talk about is how we play better at home in front of our fans against the top 10 team. I mean, our focus will be on ourselves more so than what that means. Then we get a week off to kind of assess, and then we'll kind of put the next 4 weeks kind of in perspective, and maybe we'll start to talk about it from that sense.
16 here. Special teams performance from BK.
Damian Ramos, let's put him in that situation, right? I mean, it's loud. That's a big kick, right? That ices the game, and he nails it. Snap was great. The hold was great. The execution was, we've seen, that has to happen too, right? We just could go back to the first week. So the execution was great. The kick was great. But he has been consistent since we put him in camp. We've tried to simulate those the best we can with loud music, and he's been spot on. So we felt really confident in that situation. And Bramlett, as you saw, we made a bit of a change where we directionally kicked a little bit, and he was outstanding. We were pushing that ball closer to the sideline to squeeze our coverage teams into a better location. He's capable of kicking at 50-plus every time. We don't want to stretch out our coverage teams quite as much. So directionally, he was outstanding.
All right, we will talk to Josh Pate when we come back here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
That's not the special teams update we wanted.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Sports with it.
It's just like anything else. I mean, I don't want to get into hyperbole, but it's, everything is. I mean, frankly, I'm still worried more about concussions. We don't talk about it much anymore, but, we've kind of helped solve it in a lot of ways and make the game a lot safer. So anytime we have existential threats, which this one could or could not be, we just deal with it, and we will deal with it. It's just part of the game. And, I don't mind a lot of what's come out of this movement of doing more for the student athletes, but like anything else, it boomerangs a little too far, and you got to swing it back into, hey, what we do for the student athletes, and it's a hell of a lot, and I'm proud of that fact that we are leaders in doing that. But
question in that game. You're listening to the Jordy Culotta Show live on YouTube. Catch it every day, 7 to 9 a.m., wherever you have internet access.
Oh, my guy, the host of Mac and Cube.
You said you wanted me to close it out.
I listen to his pod every day on WJOX 94. I thought I was going to beat Charlie. I didn't. You were fantastic as always. Have a great call in Missouri. I'll see you soon, man.
Thanks, man. Good
Later.
talking to you, Jordy.
Always. There he is. Cole Kubelik, the absolute best. Don't overthink it, ABC. When you move to time slot and the SEC is getting that billing, make this man the color commentator. He's the absolute best.
Ooh, I mean, what a pro.
What a pro.
I remember telling them, hey, listen, my job here is to make sure that we bring, big time football to a small town environment, right? And so you see on movies sometimes about the way a town reacts to the football program, and
I love it. I love it, man. Great to see you. Thank you.
You too, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
All right, man. There he is. There he is, my guy, David Brewerton checking in. What does Harold Perkins do for this defense? What does he allow you guys to do?
Yeah, Perk, man, he's just so raw, man. Like, all he know how to do is make a play. But I love him. He brings a certain type of juice to the defense, and he's right alongside of me on the edge. He knows how to rush the edge. As a young guy, that's very valuable to the defense, being able to rush the edge. Making the quarterback step up. But yeah. They put him everywhere, middle linebacker, outside rusher, maybe sometimes he's going to be in the drop. So he's very versatile for our defense.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live here on this Tuesday. Make sure to hit the like button, comment button, share button if you don't mind. We appreciate you being here. Start your Tuesday here with us. Remember, we're brought to you by Go Online, GeauxChevrolet.com. We got some film breakdown coming up with Coach Caskey, as we will have the shortcut, the extended cut coming up at 9:30. Katie going to be sitting in this morning.
I hope so. If I'm
class.
not dealing with car issues, does anybody want to
here
come
we
change
go.
my
Nice.
tire?
The old flat tire.
Does anybody want to come change my
That's
tire?
right.
This is why
I
you have
literally
Rooster
drove
as the
here on
neighbor.
a flat tire. It's scary.
Make sure and set your alerts for Late Kick with Josh Pate. If you're listening to this show, odds are you are a huge college football fan and you are already linked up with Josh. If for some crazy reason you are not a subscriber to his YouTube channel, make sure and check him out Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night, 7 o'clock Central. All right, let's go around the world and find out wherever our guy is here on this Tuesday morning. He was at the center of the college football world on Saturday in Knoxville, Tennessee. Here to tell us all about it is Josh Pate. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm recovering. I would call myself a recovering college football fan after this weekend. Let me ask you this. So you're locked into Florida LSU there, so you've got other things on your plate. What were you doing when that field goal went through?
I was hosting a Arthritis Foundation event at the local casino here. And there were
so
people
who
in the
amongst us hasn't been there before?
Right.
people in the back of the room as the
Standing room
silent
only.
auction, as I'm urging people to bid on the silent auction on the app. Some tighter in the back screams out, "No!" And on the microphone, I said, "I think Bama just got beat." And
the crowd goes
the
wild.
crowd went nuts.
Either that or arthritis really is a terrible, terrible.
That's right.
Y'all don't clap too hard now.
That's right. I was not where you were, bro. Where were you when the ball went through the upright? Were you on the field? Did you get washed up in the sea of orange? What was your point of view of that?
Yeah, we were on the field, and I did indeed get washed up in the sea of orange. And so naturally, if you're already there, you might as well just start documenting. I would do the same thing if I were on the ground in war somewhere. You just start filming and hope for the best and prepare for the worst. But it was wild, man, because there was this momentary pause. First off, because the thing got tipped, so it was a really weird-looking field goal. So people had to pause to make sure they just won. But, man, when those people realized that, I knew already, but if you didn't know how much pain and rage had been built up there for 15 years not beating them, it kind of all just was like a dam breaking, and they all flooded out there, figuratively, literally, everybody flooded out there. Saw some wild stuff, man. I was a part of 4 field stormings last year, so that's not new to me, but this was a different level because this This didn't just have to do with 2022.
Yeah.
Like it has to do with stuff that happened in some cases before some of the people who were on that field were even old enough to know what was going on. So it was wild. I've never experienced anything like it. It's the wildest atmosphere, scene, whatever that I've ever been a part of.
It looks like Woodstock. I mean, it looks like a festival on the field on your Twitter. My man Jared Min, who claimed this is Pate State material, the power of Twitter and the internet, the fact that you were able to track this kid down through this hundreds of thousands of people on the field. Josh, to the football point of it, how good is Tennessee?
Well, they're able to score. Okay, so that's so basic, but it's something that we've started to see over the past, I would say 10 years in college football. It used to be that the adage was good defenses beat good offenses, just like good pitching beats good hitting. But what happened as the passing game and as passing offenses started to evolve to the next level of whatever they are now, we found out that if you can reach a certain level of peak efficiency in your passing game, you can throw the ball on anyone. And that includes the number one defenses in the country. You'll be able to throw it on them. You may not hang 52 on them every week, but you will be able to throw it on them. And if you were to see, Jordy, if I were to come on the show last week and you told me, hey, Tennessee's going to hang half 100 on Bama for the first time since the 1907 Sewanee game, by the way, and that was a classic, I'm told. But if you were to tell me that, I would think, okay, that must mean when I pull that stat sheet up or when I look at the box score, there are going to be all kind of players who just went off. And that really wasn't the case. Josh Heupel found a matchup, and it was Jalen Hyatt versus a combination of a couple of safeties for Alabama, and he just exploited it. And to their discredit, Bama was never able to adjust to it, which they normally do, but they didn't. But that, to me, is the beauty in what you have with Josh Heupel, because I can promise you there's coming a time probably towards the end of this week and then next week where people start looking ahead to that Georgia game and they start saying things like, well, they won't be able to do that against Georgia. Well, let me tell you what I think they can do against Georgia. They are going to get Cedric Tillman back, so they'll have that kid you saw go off the other day plus Cedric Tillman. But I'm also a believer that, if Alabama were to have just drastically altered their game plan and taken Kool-Aid McKinstry, who never even got looked at Saturday, and they were to just put him manned up against Jalen Hyatt, that wouldn't have shut Tennessee's passing game down. All it would have meant is someone else was about to get matched up on those safeties, and they were going to go off because it was a matchup thing. I mean, God bless Jalen Hyatt. It was a matchup thing. And sometimes it's like trying to plug 11 holes in a dam with 10 fingers. Wherever you put the fingers, there's going to be another leak somewhere. And I think that they have a very good shot of beating anyone on their schedule right now. Now, it's going to be tougher away from home, but also you didn't see it the other night, but their hurry up and their tempo, that stuff negates crowd noise a lot of times. When you don't work deep into the play clock and you don't adjust a ton at the line of scrimmage, I just don't – it's going to be a better team that beats them. I don't think it's going to be a road environment that beats them.
It was mesmerizing to watch it in Baton Rouge a couple of weeks back. I mean, if you've never seen it, when you see it the first time and see how efficient it is and how quick they get to the line of scrimmage and get set and snap, it really is. I mean, just from a football standpoint, it's crazy.
You got Sunday throat.
Oh, bad. Alabama on the other side of it. What are they missing this year?
You remember back about 6 years ago, they had those teams that came through there with Jonathan Allen and Ashawn Robinson, Jaron Reed, Tony Brown, all those dudes that you never – in fact, if anything, you had to put some sandbags in the hot air balloon to keep them grounded. You certainly never had to light any spark under them. I mean, I'm telling you, it's kind of jarring for me to watch them play the way they played. And then the next day or the following Monday, I'm listening to Will Anderson and Nick Saban, mind you, step to the podium in Tuscaloosa and talk about having anxiety pregame and being a little tight pregame. I don't even recognize the program I'm hearing that from because Bama used to be the antithesis of that. And so, look, we can talk about scheme, but that's not even a scheme thing, man. That's from the neck up. That's a mentality. And you either have that or you don't. And apparently they don't have that on this year's team. It's kind of striking that, the biggest alpha dog on that team is Bryce Young, who's one of the most soft-spoken people on that team. But that dude was a warrior the other night. I mean, he played the game of his life in a game that 72 or 96 hours beforehand, we didn't even know definitively if he was going to play in. And then I got the rest of those guys out there just kind of doing whatever you want to call that. But that was amazing to see their pass rush not get home, especially when Tennessee needed time. They needed some deep developing pass routes. You would have thought that was tailor-made for Anderson or Dallas Turner or Chris Braswell. It just didn't happen. And so they play Mississippi State this Saturday. I expect they'll probably drag them because that's just the kind of way that they and this sport work. But I don't know, man. I don't know even if they turn a corner. I guess at Ole Miss, they got LSU on the road. There are going to be some other opportunities for them to go on the road. But these penalties are insane. And I also am a believer that the result we got the other night with them having no answer defensively, Jordy, that may have well been on its way to happening in week 2 against Texas before Quinn Ewers went down.
Yeah. Ole Miss is here this Saturday. There's a revived energy around LSU after seeing their offense on Saturday night, though it was against Florida. What do you feel about the SEC West right now?
I think that game is very quiet nationally. Maybe hype will build a little bit later in the week. We're going to do our game breakdown of it tonight.
You didn't even talk about it yesterday.
Say that again?
I said you didn't even talk about it yesterday. Your papers got stuck together. We all saw it.
Oh, it hurt me. It hurt me when I got off air. So let me. You know what? Let me make a public statement on this. Hold on. Let me make it sound like papers are shuffling here.
Paper pop.
All right, there's some paper shuffling. So these things happen, but there's no excuse. I take full accountability for not covering LSU Florida Sunday night. And then when I got off air and I realized, wait a second, you're telling me I got to all the Pac-12 and ACC games, but I left out LSU Florida? That's great. The YouTube algorithm really loved that, by the way. That was
12 Pate.
That's right.
Yeah, so apparently exclusively Pac-12 Pate. So I finally got to watch the game when I got back that night. And it's, to me, an incredible thing sort of doing the revisionist history, like if you were to play it out beforehand. We had just come off seeing LSU struggle offensively and not be able to put up a big enough number against Tennessee. So if you tell me that Florida's going to end up with like 35 on the road now, so I got to deal with all that stuff, I would be kind of concerned. And then you check out Jaden Daniels, it was never a problem, man. They actually had that number already, I think, by the time that comeback started to happen by Florida. So, yeah, there's a reason. I don't care if it was just Florida. There's a reason why people are feeling that way. And also, what I was going to say about the LSU Ole Miss game, until I was rightfully and justifiably interrupted, was there's a lot of people who I don't think realize how wide open the spot is, maybe right behind Bama or maybe including Bama in the SEC West. And it's just kind of a quiet game that's sneaking up on people a little bit, I think. And I assume that most people just believe Ole Miss is going to lose a bunch of games in the second half. I'm one of them. I don't think Ole Miss is going to end up being in that one-loss playoff conversation, but they still have to lose the games. They still got to play the games. So I'm really looking forward to that one. What's kickoff time there, by the way?
2:30.
Okay. Well, it could be worse, as we all know.
Yeah, sure. No. Look, I think people are they are looking forward to this. And you know, I mean, people in Baton Rouge are not in a spot right now to be needy about kickoff times. I think they are accepting the big games. They just have to perform. And this is a big spot for them on Saturday. Texas A&M and South Carolina intrigues me, Josh, this weekend. I think this is a huge spot for Shane Beamer and his program. Where do you see this game a couple of days out?
Yeah, someone asked me about this last night. I had a buddy call me and say, hey, man, I think South Carolina's going to beat A&M. And he's titled to his opinion. But, man, let me just put it this way. If A&M were to go into their bye week and come out of it and make the first thing that you saw from them a loss to South Carolina, even on the road, that's a tough look, because here's what I envision. What I envision is any kind of change it's possible to make during the season, Jimbo Fisher had waited until the bye week to do, and now they do it. And so we should get it this week. That's theoretically where we should get it. Now, having said that, I don't really know what the best version of A&M is, because really the best version of A&M requires them doing things that you can't fix in 2 weeks, and it requires doing things that probably require January, February, and the summer and whatnot. So having said that, look, if you could promise me, I said this after the Bama game, if you could promise me nothing more than just the raw effort that I got from A&M when they played Alabama, I'd feel fine about them going 9-3 in a given year, not this year, but in a given year.
Sure.
But I don't always get that from them. And so if I get remotely that level of competition and there's some efficiency from Haynes King, look, they've got such an edge on the lines of scrimmage, or should, against South Carolina, that they should go win the game. But, man, there's so much shoulds and there's so much ifs in what I just said. I don't know. Maybe I'll talk myself into it, you know. I got about 12 hours game. Maybe I'll talk myself into it.
How good is TCU?
I think that they're in the toughest spot they'll be in all season this weekend. So if you think about what they've done the past few weeks, and you watch college football for a long time, it's tough for teams to get up 3 weeks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And so they beat, it's been a string of games out there in the Big 12, but they've won 2 games and then just won this Oklahoma State game in storm from behind fashion, not even just come from behind fashion.
Oklahoma and Kansas.
Right. So, and we all remember the bloodbath that was the Oklahoma game. They go on the road and they have to hold off Kansas, knock out the quarterback in the process, and then they come home and they have to come from behind. Well, that drains a team.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, that's how college football has played out. They drain that kind of stuff drains teams, and so they figured out a way to use efficiently. I think the Kansas State game this week, though, situationally it sets up horribly for TCU, and it sets up great for Kansas State. So if TCU is able to find a way, I know they're favored by 5. Like, I think they'll lose the game outright. So if they find a way to win that game this weekend, then they have really set themselves up, probably to get a lot more national run, but also just to be in the college football playoff picture, because you're not thinking about them there, nor am I right now. But that's just because you assume they're going to lose. Well, if they keep on winning the games people assume they're going to lose, eventually you got to take them seriously. And Sonny Dykes probably deserves Coach of the Year consideration along with Heupel, because Sonny Dykes took a better job and didn't even have to change his address.
What did USC's loss do to the landscape of the sport?
So it's weird the way you asked it, because I think it greatly reduces the possibility that the Pac-12 is there in the postseason conversation. But ironically, I think it's going to be a good thing for USC. I think it's a good thing that that little bubble got popped out there, because they were starting to get mentioned in the same conversation as some of the higher level teams in college football. And that's not them this year. It may be them down the road, but what they can be is a really good team. And what they can be is the best team in the Pac-12. And now that false bubble got popped, a real one can start to build. They go into a bye now. They can roll up their sleeves. They can also convince themselves officiating cost them a game at Utah, and it may very well have, by the way. And so they can, in other words, they can sell their kids on the idea that we control everything. Okay, we lost the other night because we didn't handle things we can control. So let's make it such that officiating can't cost us. If we're up 3 touchdowns, it doesn't matter. And they've got a really, really soft stretch coming up against the Colorados and Arizonas of the world. And the next game that you'll really pay attention to with them is the UCLA game. I think November 19th. Hopefully I find an excuse to be out there, because I'm a big fan of Southern California in mid-November. And I think that at that point, you'll be seeing whatever the best version of USC is. I think it may be good enough to win the Pac-12. And if they're a one-loss Pac-12, I wouldn't think they're in, but you never know what the rest of the country is going to look like by then.
Where are you at this weekend? What game?
Man, we're going to UCLA, Oregon. I've never been to a game at Oregon.
Wow, bro. Pac-12 Pate is for real. Enjoy the trip across the country, man.
I appreciate it, guys.
All right, man. See you. There he is. Josh Pate, at Late Kick Josh is where you follow him on Twitter. You can catch him, as we said, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday night.
What a gig for him.
What a gig.
You just get to go to the best college
What a
football
gig.
game every week for your job.
When I first met Rosillo was the host of the game day edition of radio.
It was College Game Day, but on the radio.
It was College Game Day on the radio.
He's like, I don't know why I'm
And the
doing
reason why I met him is because they needed someone to hype the crowd in and out of breaks during the live hits.
I'm hot
Big
right
hype
now.
man.
Yeah, big hype guy.
Yeah.
School.
And
I'm at the arthritis
I
clinic.
met Russillo there, and he was telling me about, and he wasn't telling me. He was like telling kind of like a group of us, just the gig at that point when they first got it. It was him, Todd McShay, and there was one other young. It might have been Jesse Palmer. I think it was Jesse Palmer that they put on the road and would fly them campus to campus every single weekend. And you'd land on a Thursday, leave on Saturday, like after the game kicked off. But the game day radio was like you had to stay on all day. Like you're reading scores, you're updating scores. Like it is a marathon of a gig.
Red zone for radio.
Did you ever do it for ESPN? Did you ever host the like?
Oh yeah. But this is a different. This is, I mean, it's
But
6
kind of the
hours.
same thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Saturday shows, like for like Eagle 98.1 or what have you, like you're there.
Oh
From,
no, you're locked in.
Yeah, from
You're locked
5
in,
a.m.
for
to
sure.
6 p.m. and you're just like, I don't even know what the world looks like out
No,
there.
no doubt. No, it's college
just-
dormitory.
yeah,
when you
it's
step
scary.
outside, you're like, oh
Yeah.
wow, it's dark outside.
Yeah, I gotta go to the game.
But I mean, some of the stories of just the
Those three.
early days of college game day, and it kind of feels like that's where Pate is. You know what I mean? Like he's got the pick of the litter of the game. I think 2 weeks ago he went to Tennessee, LSU, hopped on a private jet and went to Tuscaloosa for Alabama, Texas A&M. I think he went to both games.
He was supposed to, and he missed the LSU game. Like they couldn't figure out the
okay,
connection.
okay.
But that was his plan, was to go to both, which is
Which
I
think he has pulled off the 2 game in one day.
That's insane.
Deal,
That would be so
like
fun, though.
crazy games type.
I think he was at A&M last year, A&M, Bama, and
Yeah.
whatever other game they had.
It's a great
the
gig.
same day.
I
It's a
know,
great
I'd
gig.
love to do that.
It's a great gig.
That'd be really cool.
Coach Caskey is here. He's going to break down film for us. We've got a look. We're going to take a short look at some LSU and some Saints stuff from over the weekend. Then the extended cut's going to come your way at 9:15 this morning, where Caskey is going to dive into LSU's defense and offense, a little Saints defense and offense, and then he's going to come back later this week on Friday and break down Lane Kiffin and his offense. Why is it so good? Why is it so well respected? What is it about his offense that stays cutting edge? Where does Kiffin's creativity come in? We'll look more in depth at Ole Miss and the Kiffin offense. So come back with us next. We'll dive in to a little bit of Caskey's clicker for some LSU discussion here as we break down a couple of plays. Remember, Daily brought to you by Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works, they are number 1 and the number 2 business, and they can help you out with any of your plumbing needs, whether it's residential or commercial. Get in touch with Jude and the crew this morning. 225-776-2431. 225-776-2431. Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. As we say, they got carpenters on staff, so they can help you out with any type of remodel that you're doing, residentially or industrial. Check them out at call Jude 225-776-2431. Mention the Jordy Culotta Show and save 15% off of your next visit to Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Kyle Caskey next here, Jordy Culotta Show.
He's got
Powered by
Sunday
Gay
throw. He's got
Chevrolet.
Sunday throw out there, too.
We'll be back after this. Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date. And finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at JordyCulottashow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com. All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Good stuff from Josh Pate. Make sure and check it out. Remember, all of our stuff brought to you by RMB Builders, rmb-builders.com. Hit them on Instagram. Coach Caskey is here for our shortcut of film before we get into the extended cut at 9:15. Katie, riding wingman, called the plays alongside Caskey today.
Got a play sheet.
I'm just the student.
The flat tire did not work. The coach
Need a better excuse.
See you in the meeting.
Give me your iPad.
All right, here we go. Tuesday morning teaser. Coach Caskey is here. All right, what's up? Morning.
I'm here. All right. Hey, we had that watch party the other night, and a lot of the stuff that I sit here and watch this film again. It's funny because all the points I'm making, we were actually talking about during the watch party, because I thought it was cool. So, if you didn't watch the watch party, shame on you. You better have been at the game in Florida. If you weren't, then I don't know what you're doing. So.
We're trying to do them every road game.
Every road game.
And that's I'm good with that. I think I do agree with the home game thing if we're trying to get to the game. But
there we go. I got somebody on my. That's what I needed. I needed you, coach.
But
you're not going this week, so I mean,
it's big. Got family.
That's right. That's right. But I mean, we can tailgate here very easily as we go live. Just let me know. All right, Coach, where are we jumping in first? Harold Perkins, I'd love to see it on top of the play sheet.
All right, so I had to start with the eye. So Perkins obviously didn't have as many plays as I think everybody was hoping again. But when he's in the game, this kid makes big plays. So if you're looking at where he's at right now, so there's a 3 down front here, and what they're doing is they're playing coverage just at the end of the game. But watch Perkins on the snap, almost not even move. All he's doing, he's literally standing there. He's not trying to get into the backfield. He's standing there and he's waiting on the quarterback to make some decision. As you can see, he's like creeping. It's almost like he's, literally stalking the quarterback. Like he's trying to just hang tight. And then
see ya.
All he's doing here, as you see right here, this is perfect alignment. He runs up. Now, I got one later where I have no idea how that one wasn't a forced fumble, by the way, how they called that thing an incomplete pass. I get it. Hands moving forward. It was an empty hand moving forward, all right? But if you see here, so he forced that pass, and then also Micah Baskerville, is Micah, right?
Yeah,
Micah. Baskerville. Yeah. He gets a hand on it. So not only did that allow this spy force this throw right here for obviously a guy who's pressing at this point in the game, it allowed that to happen where, you're getting a guy flustered, and that's what they were doing at the end of the game. They did that probably 5 or 6 times towards the end of the game. And if you watch the end of the first half, that actually showed up, and you can see the offensive guys on the sideline just loving the fact that Perkins is on the field.
Yeah,
they're like, I'm glad he's not going against us.
For sure.
Getting into the offense, because I know that's been a big point this week. The thing that they're doing really well, number one, is they're sticking to what's good, what's working. And this is at the beginning of the third quarter, they had been running the ball and kind of nothing had just broken. Josh had a couple strong runs and all.
He looked good,
but he really did. And this run in particular. So if you're watching this run, they're pulling 2 guys. So it's called a counter play. Sorry, I missed my first. There you go. It's called a counter play. So everybody's blocking back. These guys are pulling right. It's actually designed to more go over here. But what happens is there's a guy, you can see his kind of head poking in right there, that gets through from the backside. And that happens at times on pull-in plays. Sometimes you just don't get back. You can see Anthony Bradford just wasn't able to get back to get that guy, which happens on occasion. Right now, you would think this play's over. But the good thing about Josh, he just keeps fighting. Breaks another tackle. Has to avoid the ref. Breaks another tackle. Breaks another tackle.
Woo. The
thing that Josh Williams is doing well right now.
Is that a block in the back?
No, they didn't call.
It didn't call.
Yeah, it's kind of finishing the play.
Yeah, finishing the play.
Cheerleaders are excited. I mean, I want to get this guy. I want to get this guy on film here.
Yeah, I saw that guy. Real nice.
He's just like, I'm
he's like, I'm done. This is what Katie looks like watching Mississippi State.
It is
exactly that.
It's worse.
So
I'm out on this.
No, dog.
But just as you watch the backside of this play here, you can see right here. So there's Anthony Bradford. They're double teaming back to this guy. He just doesn't get off that double team quick enough right there to pick him up. But again, the fact that Josh Williams is playing at a level that I don't think he realized he could play at, if that makes any sense. Because there's a lot of players that really they think they're good, but they don't realize how good they can be until they actually do it. And the other thing I'm going to point out, that guy should never wear number 21.
Unreal.
Ever wear number 21.
And he's got a weird.
That's on the coaching
and
staff.
he's got a weird helmet.
He got the new helmet.
That's on the coaching staff. So
we'll get that corrected.
So here's the play to Keyshawn Boutte. So I want you to watch. So you can see how this play evolves. So we're moving on to the next play. So they've got a bunch of routes here. Keyshawn Boutte's actually running more of a seam right here. But Jaden Daniels is back here, and everybody talks about getting your eyes downfield. You see how Keyshawn just keeps finding a spot. Now Jaden Daniels is scrambling at this point. Boom! Finally finds that spot where he can get it. So there's a lot of things within what they've done and everybody can, everybody's on the coaches. The coaches this. Now there's a point when the players start to come together as well. And I believe that because of whatever happened, maybe it was the players only meetings. I don't know. But the fact that he kept alive right there, you could see even when he runs across, you can see how he's looking right here.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to keep his eyes on Daniels right here. He's not worried about anything else. And that's the big thing. You go run, you make yourself available, quarterback will find you. And that's an easy catch. Now, here's the one I really want to talk about is
this is all day. This is all day. This is all day.
The ball's right here. You got a guy. This guy's not even looking.
Not really an athlete.
And
pissing down his leg.
You've got, when you say 50-50 ball, a lot of people think, okay, 50-50 ball, it's 50% chance I catch it, 50% chance it's intercepted. And that's not always the case. A 50-50 ball means you throw it up there, and one out of every 2 times he's going to come down with it, and it doesn't, and either that or it falls incomplete. In this case, he threw a perfect pass to allow this ball to just drop right there. That's on top of that dude's head. That dude ain't making that play.
It's pissing down his
That dude ain't making that play. Throw that ball to this kid. You've got to get the ball to this kid right here. Like you see where that ball landed. That ball would have hit Florida guy right in the head. And
he's really just protecting him.
And really, that is as good of a
being a good dad.
You know, and the fact that they're just let him play, and he threw it up, and he threw another one up later on in the end zone or on the sideline, and came down with it, and then he had another one. I think he tried to throw another one to Neighbors, I think, and they called him out of bounds.
Yeah.
And but he was giving them chances, and that was big. That was real big. So I think the biggest thing about the LSU offense as we go forward into today's thing is watch how simple everything was for them. There wasn't anything trying to overthink things. They got the ball to their players.
Yeah.
And I think that's where going into this week when we talk about Ole Miss, like right now Ole Miss is just getting the ball in their playmakers' hands. Like they're running the ball because they got a good running game. So screw it, they're running the ball. They're not trying to throw it as much as they used to, but there's ways that people can exploit just by being simple. Now, you want to talk about why my thing's skipping here? Sorry, I apologize. So, things going a little crazy here. Hopefully it's not like this the whole time. But I'm going to try to pause this right here. So we're talking about the Saints from the other day, and right here, as you look at the Saints, the line of scrimmage was right here. This is what the Saints were doing all day, and this is what the Saints should do going forward: is run the ball. Honestly, I mean that they've displaced the Cincinnati Bengals, who are a decent defensive team, and they displaced that team just all the way down the field, as you see it from this angle. I mean, that's what LSU, honestly, with the size of their line too. If you want to keep talking about them, really, honestly, they could get movement like that on the teams they're playing. So, I thought that's something the Saints did really well. The Saints ran for 228 yards or something.
Lost.
You usually don't lose those ones, Coach.
Well, they didn't. That's also called red zone offense. You got to score when you get in the red zone. One of the things that Andy Dalton does a good job of is, honestly, he can hit seam throws. He did that for us all those years in Cincinnati. I want you to watch this DB right here. I think that's Mike Hilton. All right, and I don't even know who the receivers were playing.
Tre'Quan Smith, I think.
But you see how he got turned around?
Mm-hmm.
The second he got turned around, because he's playing outside leverage here. Now, explaining that, so he's outside of the receiver because he knows he has help on the inside up here. He also knows he has help in here. So, right there, I mean, he hits this. This is a perfect throw. I mean, that's Joe Burrow-esque right there from my man Andy.
Rifle still has some bullets.
I'll tell you, I was at this guy. I know you were at the game too. That's an intimidating atmosphere for a 2-4 team.
Yeah.
For a 2-4 team to have that type of atmosphere. I mean, I'd say I've never been to a Saints game when they were really, really good, but that must be crazy down there.
Oh, it's a disease.
I mean, pretty crazy. But so now, this is what LSU needs to do. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. All right, this is easy to do because it's an LSU guy, right? So here's Burrow. Y'all want to talk about the 2019 team and why it was so good? I want you to watch how fast he gets rid of this ball. This is an RPO. He's going to throw it down here to Tyler Boyd.
Oh, wow.
Did you see the release on that?
Little shortstop.
Little shortstop.
That's not even, I mean.
Turn two.
How many times has he done that, dude? That's a Kobe jump shot.
But here's the thing too. You have numbers in the box. they're playing cover six. They're playing too high. So you've got numbers to hand the ball off, and usually if this guy just kind of hangs there like he does, you hand it off because you're worried about him playing this pass right here. But he said, screw that. I'm throwing it to my man Boyd. And that's where it's kind of funny that the way that LSU and the Bengals evolved over this past week, because the Bengals weren't doing this stuff either. And all of a sudden they start throwing all these RPOs. And
Why
then
didn't he hand it off, though? He just saw the other guy out there?
So
and, like, maybe he had an opportunity?
I think what was happening was he knew – like I've kept up with the Bengals because I also talk about them in Cincinnati, but they've had an issue getting the ball to certain guys like Chase. They've had a hard time getting the ball to Chase. They've had a hard time getting the ball to Boyd. What they did yesterday or on Sunday was they more or less forced the ball into them if they could, just to get them going. You know, they'll get the run game going too, but they needed to get those receivers going. So
Keyshawn.
Exactly. It's the same. It's the same. I mean, it's almost like those two teams were living in the same world this weekend.
Yeah.
But if you look up here, this Chase up here, here's Burrow. This is not the touchdown pass, but I want you to watch this route that Chase is going to run right here. All Chase is doing is running like a quick out right here. That's all they did. I'd have to go back and look to see how many throws Burrow threw over 20 yards. I don't think he threw very many. He maybe one. I don't know. But if you look here, he's running a little quick out right here as Chase is. This is all they did all day. And this is how the Saints lost. That's how the Saints lost right there. They lost because of missed tackles and Jamar Chase just running past them, Tyler Boyd running past them, Joe Mixon running past him when he caught the ball. But that's simple stuff.
What's an Omaha throw? Why do they call it that?
Because that was our term. So Omaha means it's usually a quick out and a stick. It's that combination. I'm not sure if the inside guy's running that. Yep. So he's running. So yeah, he ran up and he's running this little stick and he's running this little quick out. That right there is what West Coast offense calls an Omaha combination. So that's why I called it. That's why on your play sheet.
That was a pick six in the Super Bowl.
That's
Tracy Porter. That's what Peyton Manning.
Oh, yes.
But
that's
a pick six in a lot of other places too.
Was this a touchdown or no?
No, this is not the touchdown. But the touchdown was on a the touchdown. He was a little wider out here. He was running what's called a 9 stop. So he's running like 9 is a go route. So he's running to 10. He's getting the DB to start turning. Then he stopped right here, caught the ball. The DB came up, missed a tackle, and then Tyrann Mathieu came up, took kind of a poor angle, and he ran past him right there on the same spot of the field. But that's what LSU can do as well, and that's what it works when you've got the dudes.
Right.
When you've got the dudes, go ahead and use them. And
right.
I think that's what you saw that on Saturday with that group. And then you also saw. I'm gonna point this out to point out the good with the bad. I'm trying to, but with LSU, that's an issue too. Is this tackling? And did anybody ask Brian Kelly about that?
He did.
Tackling,
yeah. I'm sure he wasn't happy about it, was he? Because that to me is a bigger problem, and that's all I got for this morning. But we'll get more into all those. Really, it's a lot of the stuff that the Bengals are doing. It goes straight into what LSU should be doing or was doing, and it's amazing how just when people say, like I heard Aaron Rodgers say, I want to simplify the offense, and Matt LaFleur came out and said, I'm not sure how you simplify our offense, and that right there is how you simplify an offense. The Bengals were trying to throw the ball deep all the time, which was almost the opposite of what LSU was doing but not doing.
Right.
LSU was still trying to was running deep routes, but they weren't
connecting,
throwing it.
Right.
You know, the Bengals were throwing them, and they just weren't getting it done. So both of them said, screw this. I'm going to go simple. We're going to run RPOs. We're going to use our quarterbacks the way that they're built to be used. You don't have to run your quarterback either, but both of them ran. Burrow ran for a touchdown. Yeah, I saw Jaden Daniels run a couple times. I mean, simplify the offenses. Get the defenses, number one, to tackle. Yeah. And bottom line is secure the tackle first and then go for the ball. But the problem that LSU was doing on that long – that was a quarterback scramble. That wasn't even a design run. Yeah, that long run.
Yeah, 51-yarder by Anthony Richardson.
Oh, yeah.
No, 81, right?
81.
81-yarder. It was an 81-yarder, and that wasn't even that was a pass.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, they were trying. Y'all saw it on the film. I mean, they're trying to knock the ball out before they were securing the tackle. and it's always called second man strip. All right, you like that? No?
Second man strip.
So the second man, the first
Sunday
guy
throw.
secures the tackle. The second man comes in and tries to strip the ball out, and that's a Saban, Belichick, Parcells. I mean, that's old school stuff, and I'm sure that they're working on that today. I promise you, they're working on that on the defensive side. Matt House and those guys. So that's what I got. We'll have the full gamut of it after the show today. It's all LSU, a lot of LSU, and then Saints too. No quick hit today because honestly, there was so much stuff out of these two games that I just went full bore into these two games, and then I'll come back in on Friday, like you said, and do the Ole Miss preview.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to hearing
O&D.
the breakdown of Ole Miss. All right, Caskey's Clicker extended cut coming up here once we log off here shortly. We appreciate you being here with us. Good stuff here on this Tuesday. Don't forget, tomorrow we're taking your voicemails. We're also taking your calls, so have a take, don't suck, 225-229-7741. We'll talk to Brody Miller about the week and preparation as LSU gets prepared for Ole Miss coming in here 2:30 on Saturday. Appreciate you being there today. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. We'll be back with you here in just a minute as Coach Caskey will fire back up his extended cuts of Caskey's Clicker. So if you're looking for an extended breakdown of LSU offensively, defensively, and dive into some of the things that were plaguing the Saints over the weekend, come back for an extended cut of Caskey's Clicker here in a couple of minutes. Before we get out of here, you want to tell them about Dead Soxy?
Yeah, Dead Soxy. Use the code Jordy to save up to 35%. Get your purple and gold socks. Get your corporate Christmas gifts. They can help you design anything with your company logo on it. You can still get it in time for Christmas. Go to deadsoxy.com and use the code Jordy.
All right, we'll be back shortly here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Make sure you are subscribed and you have clicked that bell so you know when we go live here each and every day on the Jordy Culotta Show. We'll be right back with you. Compliments of Go Chevrolet.